Welcome to MacGyver's Workshop, where you never know what we're going to be working on next. If you're not too careful, you just might learn something.
Hi there, and welcome to another episode of MacGyver's Workshop, where you never know what we're going to be working on next, and if you're not too careful, you just might learn something. So lo and behold, today, surprise, I came home and I have parts. So, still waiting on a couple of things. My white face gauge overlays, I'm still waiting on those. But I was expecting the air cleaner today, but I wasn't expecting these other two boxes. And I guess we'll go from smallest to biggest here and show you what we got. And these are the roller rockers for the motor. And what they are essentially is a great improvement on the regular rocker arms, factory rocker arms that a motor comes with. And what I'll do here is I'll kind of gather some stuff up here for comparison and show you. Okay, so we'll give you a little quickie lesson on a standard rocker arm. Now this one's actually a cast rocker. Most of them are just stamped steel. So this one's probably, I don't know if it's going to be any stronger than a stamped steel, but anyway, it doesn't much matter. And how they work is you have a stud sticking up out of the head. Okay, you got your push rod going down to your camshaft, and then your valve will sit right here. And this has to pivot, okay, you know, as the push rod comes up to open the valve and goes back down, it has to be able to pivot like this. So what they do is they have this little kind of like a ball stud kind of thing, and that lays down in a pocket here inside the rocker arm like so. Okay, and the rocker arm will pivot under that ball, and then your oil comes up through the push rod on this motor, and there's a little hole right here where it spits oil out right into here, and water gets down in there, or oil gets down in there and lubricates that ball and socket, and that's how it pivots. But there's still a lot of parasitic friction there. And then finally, you have just a regular, like a standard lock nut that goes down over the top of the stud and holds everything in place once you adjust the initial lash on the valves. And the factory ones are 5/16, which, you know, obviously, you know, lots of motors run with them and they last forever and all that good stuff, but you know, 3/8 is much better, or perhaps even 7/16 if you've got you know, you're running like really high valve lift and you know, high spring, you know, real super strong valve springs, you know, that sort of thing, which this truck is not going to have. But so 3/8 is more than adequate, and we're going to put screw-in studs in and go ahead and bring them up to 3/8, just because that's pretty much the baseline for screw-in studs is screws into the head at 7/16 and then next down to 3/8 for your rocker arm. Now, the rocker arm that we're going with is what's called a full roller rocker. And what that means is that the pivot portion right here, okay, is on a roller bearing trunnion. So there's very, very, very little, if any, friction at all. Okay, and then there's also a roller here. So as the rocker arm comes down and pushes on the valve, you've got that roller rotating there. So the rocker arm is not literally scraping across the top of the valve like it would be with a standard rocker arm. You can even see the shiny spot on there. And you know, all that stuff doesn't seem like much because, you know, cars have been using these other styles of rocker arms for years and decades, and they worked fine, it lasted a long time and all that, and that's all well and good. However, the reduction in parasitic friction inside the engine is just, you know, immense. That can, you know, that's going to add up to better fuel economy, you know, especially, you know, in the long run. And of course, we're running a performance camshaft in this motor. Nothing real racy or anything like that. It's more designed for economy and torque. So it's going to feel racy compared to what it was, but you know, it's not like your dragster that's going to come up to the starting line or anything like that. And then, instead of just a regular stamped or a knurled lock nut that just wedges itself onto the stud, we have these kind of lock nuts here that go down in there, and you adjust your valve lash on the stud, and then you hold it with your 9/16 wrench, and then there's a set screw in here that you run down until you hit the stud and tighten it up real good, and that positively locks that in place, so your valves will never go out of adjustment, not because of the nut backing off anyway. So they're you know, these aren't cheap. You know, Harlan Sharp is the only one that makes them for the Ford 6-cylinder in a standard configuration. Now you can get scorpions and stuff like that, but that requires a lot of machine work or extra machine work to fix the geometry, because you know, the distance between here and here and here and here is very important. That's what sets what's called your valve train geometry. And the scorpions are a 1.7 ratio, which, you know, you could throw a set of those if your engine came with stock with 1.6, which is what these are. You can technically throw a set of 1.7s on there and gain extra valve lift and ultimately more power. But we're not concerned with that so much, really, because if we went to a 1.7, then that's going to throw off the geometry, the valve train geometry, because to get that 1.7 ratio, that means either this tip has to be further away from this trunnion, or the ball socket here for your push rod has to be closer to the trunnion. It's a lever, okay? And the 1.7 or 1.6 is indicative of the ratio of this lever. So for every 1 unit of measurement you get at the cam, you actually end up with 1.7 units of measurement at the actual valve. So, but we're happy with 1.6. Keep everything standard and pretty much as close as we can get to standard in the head. And we'll have a thicker stud. It's going to be a 3/8 stud instead of 5/16, which is going to be stronger, so it won't flex. And we're also going to be putting larger valves in the head. I was originally going to go with just a larger exhaust valve, but the guys at Ford 6 Performance were pretty adamant about going to a larger valve and larger intake valve. So what we did, they suggested 1.94 inches. What I'm going to go with is a 1.84 to kind of split the difference. You know, we don't want to get too tight in the head there, and because of the valve being too big and compromising, you know, any meat in the head there, so we don't want the head to crack. That way we'll get a little bit of the benefit, and we'll keep that longevity and you know, robustness in there in the head. Now I'm sure these guys have been running 1.94 valves forever, and that's all good, but you know, I'm a bit of a worrywart. So this valve's 100 thousandths of an inch bigger than the factory one. So I think that's a good starting point, because worst come to worst, you can always pull it off and do it again and go bigger. But I don't seriously think we're going to need to do that. So with all the other steps we've taken to improve breathing on the engine, with the better exhaust and the intake manifold and the Rochester Quadrajet 4-barrel, I think we're going to be more than happy with the power we get out of this motor. So that's that. We'll put these up. Matter of fact, I talked to the machinist today, and he's working on it, getting there, slow but sure. But like I said, you know, this is a kind of an old feller, and he marches to the beat of his own drummer, and really nice guy. I can just sit there and talk with him. We talk, you know, tech, cars, and hot rods for hours, you know, and so like I said, he's a legend amongst all the local racing guys around here in Portland, Tennessee. So you know, his work speaks for itself. So now what we got here is an air cleaner to go on that Rochester Quadrajet, because the other air cleaner, which is fine for a little bitty 1-barrel, is, you know, going to be pretty restrictive on top of a Holly or a Rochester Quadrajet. So I found one on eBay used for that fits a I'm guessing this it came off of like a 390 or 360. Anyways, it's a much bigger housing. It's taller. It takes a bigger air filter, and it will breathe a lot better than the little tiny one. And you know, get more air through it. So I'm real happy with that, and I'll check that out here in a bit and make sure it's going to go on top of that Quadrajet without too much fuss. It may take a little bit of finagling to make it fit, but that's okay, because it's still going to look reasonably factory. All right, so the air cleaner, it fits good. It's the same neck size or throat size, and it just took just a little tiny bit of tweaking, and it lines up real good. So it's on there. Now it looks kind of ugly now because it's all nasty from coming from the junkyard or where I got it from. But we can, what we'll probably do, I'm going to sandblast it, but I may try and sandblast it in natural metal and shoot it with clear, and that'll look pretty close to what the original little rinky-dink air cleaner looked like on the 1-barrel. We'll see. So we'll have to stay tuned for that. What I got here, this is all my sheet metal for the cab. And this is the floor pans, cab corners, cab mounts, and it actually additionally came with rocker panels, which I don't think we need because they're not rusted up. But boy, you can tell this box took a beating on the way down here. Ain't no doubt about it. I mean, this box is all tore up over here and up here, but I'm guessing everything made it okay. We'll see. I haven't opened this yet. All I did was cut the tape on it because I figured you didn't want to waste time sitting there watching me cut tape. Well, these are the rocker panels. What that is that's down here. It's just a sill you step on when you get inside the vehicle. So, there's the other one for the other side. We're all good there. Okay. Then we got floor pans here, but let me get these cab mounts out of the way. These are the cab mounts, and that's where, right there, that is where your the cab sits on the big rubber cushy body mount there. And yeah, they're pretty rotted out on the Ole Blue. I got one for each side. There's the other side. And these are the floor pans. Okay. So, I'm guessing that this one's going to be the passenger side. They kind of go in there like so. Oh, there's a cab corner. So, if you were looking at the back of the cab of the truck without the bed on it, this is the bottom corner on the driver's side. And of course these all rot out right in through here. And there's our other cab corner. See, that's the right hand and left hand. Okay. Making sure we got everything we're supposed to get here. And finally, the driver's side floor pan. So we are good to go. And yeah, let's see, what did that say? Front cab floor, right hand, left hand. There we go. So, yep. And I end up with more cardboard packages than I know what to do with. It's a good thing. It's supposed to rain all weekend. So I can be inside working on all that stuff. And that's going to take a while because body work is not my forte. So I tend to be very slow at it. So, but this will be a whole entirely separate video. So you can see the rusty looking floor pan there. And what we're going to do is this. That'll all get cut out, and the supports that are under here will stay. They'll get cleaned up, and they'll ultimately get re-welded to this floor pan to stiffen it up. Bear with me here because I'm working one-handed, but pretty much once we cut all the rotted part out and we lay that down in there and weld it into place and trim it and all that good stuff, and there you have it. And this is the cab corner. That's how that goes. And that gets cut and welded in after we cut the bad spots out. Then the cab mounts here replace that piece right there. Kind of like, they go in like that there. So, yeah. Just a bit of metal work in there, but and the tricky bit will be the body work on the cab corners there. But thankfully, that's all the body work, aside from a little minor filling and sanding that I'll need to do. So, and of course, I got the cab up on the rotisserie here, so it's all ready. We can get to anywhere we need to get to work on it. So that's it for tonight. And stay safe, stay well, stay healthy, and we'll see you next time.